Okay, now let's discuss page 8 on your textbook. So on page 8, it shows this problem. For what values of x is g of x equals 2 minus absolute value of x increasing? For what values is it decreasing? Okay, so in the other one, in the interval of positive and negative, for positive and negative intervals, it talks about whether it's above the x-axis or below the x-axis. But in this case, it's talking about increasing and decreasing. Okay, so it's different. So now we're looking at increasing and decreasing. So just new vocab words. We talked about this already, about maximum and minimum. Maximum is the topmost point over here. It's where the graph changes. So if it was upside down, so if it was like this, this would be my minimum. This would be my min. Okay. So just remember that. Just a little review. So if we graphed it, g of x equals 2 minus absolute value of x, we would just start out with any numbers. So you just choose your x values. It can be any x values, but it's easier when it's close to 0 because it's smaller numbers. And then you just plug in your -3 into your x, -2 for your x, to find your y value. Okay, if you need your calculator, go ahead and go get it for this portion. So all I did was plug in -3 in here, and you should get a result as -1. Okay, so same thing goes for the other x values. So after getting this, you graph it, and it's already showing us the graph of the function. So now let's go back to the question. For what values is it increasing? Okay, so that means we start scanning where it goes upwards. Okay, where would that be? It would be over here. So this is increasing. So what is my interval for increasing? Oops. So what's my interval for increasing? Okay. What's my interval for increasing? So we see that there's an arrow from the left. So that must mean it's going forever. So our interval will start, so for increasing, our interval would start at -infinity. Okay? -infinity. And then it would go all the way up to 0. Okay? Because we're looking at the x values. We're looking at the x values. So we start at -infinity all the way to 0. Okay? All the way to 0. We don't include 0 because it's neither increasing or decreasing at 0. Okay, because that's when it changes direction. And now let's find our decreasing interval. So when it's decreasing, we started at 0. We started at 0, and we see the arrow pointing to the right. So it's going to be positive infinity. Okay. So just to clarify, when it's asking for increasing and decreasing, so on the bubble somewhere in your notes, it's asking for the x. You're looking at the x value, sorry. Not asking. Looking at x values. Okay. So make sure for increasing, decreasing, looking at x values. Let me go back, please. For this one, it's asking for positive and negative. Okay, so just a reminder, positive means above the x-axis. Negative is below x-axis. If it's on the x-axis, it's neutral. Okay? Alright, if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. Okay? Let me do an example really quickly. So you can go ahead and just speed this up or skip through just until you get to the example. Okay, let's look at this one. For what values of x is each function increasing? For what values of x is it decreasing? So in this one, let's just look at the graph. If it lets me, there we go. So let's look at the graph for each function. So it says increasing and decreasing. So we're looking where it's going up and where it's going down. Oh, where is it? So let's look at where increasing. So we see that this part is going upwards. Okay, where is it starting? So it's going upwards. It's going upwards. Let me see. All right, so it starts at, what's my x value over here? It starts at 2 and it's increasing. So my interval for increasing will be 2 to infinity. Okay, now 2 is included. Actually, no, it's not, sorry. It's not included. It's not included because that's where it changes direction. So not included because that's where it changes direction. Okay, now let's look at where it's decreasing. Let's use red, decreasing. So we see that it's going down, 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 all the way to 2. So if we're scanning from the left, so this goes on forever, right? So my decreasing number would start from the left, which is negative infinity. So it keeps going to the left, which is negative infinity, all the way to 2. Again, it's not included because it's where it changes direction. Okay? If you have any questions, leave it in the comments.